Well, greetings, folks. Welcome to another one of our Free Friday community classes. This week, I am doing a class on something that I love, but also sort of responding to a few questions I've gotten from folks over the past couple of weeks. So we are going to be talking about meditation in plant spirit work. I think people don't consider meditation as being valuable in this work because it feels like insular practice. It feels like something people do as their spiritual work, but my hope in this class is to show you some really cool plant-centered ways to engage with meditation and also inspire you with some of the really practical benefits that come from doing this work. So my plan is we're going to talk about what meditation is from my perspective, the art and craft of listening from everywhere. You hear me talk about this all the time, and it really dovetails in with the meditation practice. Talk about some of the benefits of meditation for plant spirit work, and then I'm going to share just a handful of meditations that you could do, that you can experiment with in your own practice to see how this all goes for you. So first, what is meditation? I think there's probably a different definition of meditation for everybody who meditates. It's a really big part of my practice. I sit pretty much every single day, not only in the meditative visionary aspects of doing plant spirit journeys and sitting with plant spirits like we do over on my Patreon group, but just for the sake of sitting, right? Just for the sake of being mindful and meditating. It really has helped me strengthen so much of my practice. So for me, meditation is stepping intentionally into a really quiet, really receptive, really open space, right? Allowing for my thoughts and my body responses and my emotions to flow freely without being analyzed, without being grasped or controlled or repressed, but just the nature of myself, be myself, right? So I think about when I'm out in nature and I find a really lovely spot to sit in and kind of just be with everything as it is, with the clouds floating in the sky, with the trees rustling, with the birds chirping. In those moments, in that space of nature, there's no desire to try to hold anything down, right? We're in fact enjoying that the river is moving and that everything is really ephemeral, right? Moment to moment. But the minute we step into our inner nature, for some reason, we want to put our thumb on everything. So I think that's really a really interesting dichotomy to explore. So when I'm meditating, I try to ask myself, what do I do when I'm out in wild spaces? What do I do when I'm in nature? What do I do when I'm in my favorite sitting places outdoors? And try to mimic that, right? Which has been really helpful for me. Meditation for me is also being as fully present as I possibly can, meaning allowing all the things to come up without trying to control or analyze or repress, but also being fully in the moment, not letting my mind wander to somewhere else to avoid the moment, right? To try to escape sitting with myself, which is generally what we're doing when we struggle with meditation. And I think a big part of it too is opening intentionally, permissibly, all levels of myself to the experience, right? My physical body, my mental body, my emotional body, my spiritual body, the space around me, the room that I'm in, the area that I'm sitting in, trying to be receptive and open and engaged all at once. You're just stepping into this really open state. And when it comes to plant spirit work, this is important because we are trying to commune with beings who are fully other than human. They don't use human words. They don't use English syntax. They don't communicate with the same emotional charge or nuance or subtlety that we do. Plants are wholly other persons, and their communication is just as different from ours as they are from us, right? So this concept of listening from everywhere, right, really gets strengthened with meditation. It allows us to hear the inklings of the plant spirits, no matter where they might come up. if they might be like a flash of inspiration in our mind, or a physical sensation moving through the physical body on a tissue level, or a memory, or a scent, or a feeling, or a surge of emotion. However it comes up, if you're not listening in those places, you'll miss it. And it's really hard to listen in all of those places in a really engaged, stimulated state, right? So meditation allows us, again, to quiet and become receptive, so that when we're doing this work, if a plant communicates with us by shaking up a memory within us as their form of telling us what they want to tell us, which this is, by the way, how plants generally communicate with us. They enter into our heart, into the liminal space within, and they find patterns within us that reference what they're trying to say, and they bring those up. So if we're not listening, we miss. And a lot of people early on in this work only listen to up here, right? Everything is super in their head, and that's okay. It's a good place to start, and plants will generally meet us where we are. But there's something beautiful about being to just drop into the whole body. So meditation is about inspiration for me. And that inspiration can only come through when we're listening, right? You can only hear if you're listening. The aha moments of green gnosis, right? Sitting in this way allows us to have realizations, to be sitting, minding our own business in meditation, and all of a sudden have the solution to a problem that we have, or realize that it's not a problem at all, or remember something, or create the openness that leads to a synchronous event. Or a connection that allows us to get where we need to be. So all of this is really important. And I think the big takeaway is meditation is sold, it's packaged as a mind thing. It's packaged as a really mental experience from the neck up. But that's not the case, at least the way I do it, right? That it's a whole being thing, including the space you're in, right? It's us as part of nature stepping into that awareness and kind of sitting in it intentionally, and letting the nature within and the nature without be nature, right? And observing, listening to all of that. So some benefits, specific benefits to plant spirit work, because the benefits to meditation are numerous and documented. And so if you want to get nerdy about that, I'm sure you'll have no problem finding it outside of this class. But benefits in plant spirit work. First, better receptivity, right? It's going to be easier for us over time to be receptive to the nudges of the plant spirits that we work with, and any other allied spirits that we work with, and other humans for that matter, right? We're just more receptive. We're more present with what's actually happening. Very quickly, we'll start to sharpen the intuition, clarify what's intuition and daydream, clarify what's meaningful and what's processing, right? And so we find that our intuitive faculties start to become better. They are stronger, louder, sharper, more accurate, and that's always fantastic. Meditation makes it easier for us to communicate, and that communication is, of course, here focused on the plant spirits, but it will also trickle into communicating with other humans, and also communicating with yourself, because we're spending a little time every day, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, sitting and being receptive to what's actually happening. Listening, right? Which is the most important part of communication, is to listen. Meditation is the listening. It's the part where we show up for ourselves and say, what's actually happening? When you do a lot of my guided meditations, the audio meditations that I have, a guided audio meditation library over on my Patreon, a lot of times we start those with, first, check in with yourself. First, see where you are now. Establish a baseline. See what's happening in there now. And then we'll go on our meditative journey, because you have to know where you are to take that first step. And I like the contrast of saying, wow, I started this feeling this way, or being in this situation, and when I ended, it had adjusted to this, right? Again, if you don't listen, you won't know. So our plant spirit journeys, the way that we sit with them for a full lunar cycle, or 1 day, or 1 hour, or 1 minute, they become easier. They're more fluid. They're more effortless. The lines of communication are there. Your ability to receive inspiration from the plants is there. When we're taking our herbal medicines, we're more receptive to those medicines, because we can be fully present for the sip of the tea, or the drop of the tincture, or swallowing the tea pill, or whatever the situation is. And that being present puts the body into a parasympathetic state. It lets us know everything's okay. We can let this in, right? And we can do the practice that I talk about all the time, which is following that medicine, right? Putting it in your mouth, swallowing it, letting it hit your belly, and then what? Where does that move? How does it adjust the body? How does your body respond to it? What comes up for you having the wisdom, the information of those plant spirits inside of you, right? So our herbal medicine gets more effective, right? Which is great. We're more focused and more fully present with magical workings. When we're doing herbal magic, plant spirit magical workings, sorceress workings, we're more there. Instead of being half there and half, worrying about what we're doing at work tomorrow, all of us is invested in the ritual, which is very, very important. And maybe last here would be used to nod towards all of the out of practice benefits of meditation. More calm, more clarity, better memory, more mindful responses to other people and to yourself, more self-awareness, more awareness of how you feel, when you feel, what it means when you feel certain things, right? It's amazing how we autopilot through so much of that, right? Because it's uncomfortable. It's not always fun to look at or sit with, but meditation offers a safe and relaxed method where we can be in our safe spaces and we can start to explore these parts of ourselves. So I think that's really important. So let's wrap up with a few meditation methods that I really like. These are ones that I use on a daily or weekly basis. They kind of rotate through my practice all the time. I find them incredibly powerful, incredibly beneficial to the work. So please give these a try in your own way. See how they sit. Let me know what you think. Again, there's a guided meditation audio library over on my Patreon. I'll link to that down in the details below. So if you like to put your headphones on and kind of be guided through it, I will do that for you. Otherwise, you can just take these prompts and go play with them in your own way. So first is more of an alchemical, kind of inner alchemical meditation that I really like, which is the tree meditation, whereby you sit comfortably, get your spine nice and straight like a tree, right? Become tree-like in quietness and in posture. And we imagine growing our roots down into the land. Even if you're on the 10th floor of an apartment building, just grow your roots down into the soil and get into the dirt and see how that feels. And we imagine growing our energetic canopy upwards into the sky. And once you have that feeling with your body as the trunk, as the connecting point between the below and the above, the earth and the sky, the earth and water, the fire and air, then you can start to gather those elements into yourself. And this is very, very powerful, right? So through the roots, we're drawing up earth and water, the primordial soup, the building blocks of all creation. And from our canopy, we're gathering fire and air and light and wisdom and perspective and bringing that down into ourselves and bringing them into harmony within. So we're kind of just pulling those in with I like to do it with my breath, an inhalation to draw them in and an exhalation to kind of move them into all of my cells. And this is just a really beautiful practice, right? If you do this every day, in no time you'll find yourself getting really good at it and experiencing the benefits of doing this energetic medicine on yourself, right? Bringing your body into harmony with the four elements. It's not necessarily balance. You are not necessarily going to have equal measures of all four of those elements or equal measures of earth energy or sky energy. The way that you hold those elements uniquely will be harmonious for you, right? There will be none that are too excessive or none that are too deficient. They're all where they need to be for you. So that's a beautiful one. Sharing breath with plant spirits is a powerful meditation. You can do it sitting with them or just imagining them, where you offer your exhalation to them as a gift, and then you receive their response gift through your inhalation. So give, receive, give, receive. We're doing that anyway. This is just a sorcerous way to drop intentionally into the magic of respiration, the magic of breath, where all of our inspiration rides on, by the way. And the breath is the easiest way into the seat of the spirit for the human and the plant. So one thing you can do to deepen this practice is The color of the human lifeblood is red. So when I exhale, I imagine exhaling red energy towards the plant and seeing that plant soak it up. And the color of the lifeblood energy of plants is green. So when I inhale, I imagine the plant sending out green energy to me, which I inhale and move through every fiber of my body, and it immediately converts to red, which I send to the plant. So this is a meditation of purification, of cleansing, of harmonizing, of getting into deep rapport with the plant spirit you're sitting with whatever plant you're sitting with or thinking of. But also, it is a ritual of sacred reciprocity, of I give so that you may give, so that I may give, so that you may give infinitely, right? And it's a beautiful thing. So when you're feeling disconnected from the work, cut off, having a hard time dropping in, come back to the breath, right? Life is intense. Sometimes it can be hard for us to sit and meditate and sit and connect to the plant spirit. Sometimes it just feels robotic. We don't feel like we're just doing the steps and we're not actually feeling in depth. Just come back to this practice. Come back to breathing. And that's all you need to do, and it will open the doors for you. You can do meditations with a patron deity or a god or goddess that you might work with, surrounded by plants that you're working with. So, for example, let's say that you were doing some work sitting with pine, and there's a particular deity in your tradition you work with. You could imagine through the mind's eye, through inner visualization, that deity surrounded by pine, or maybe you keep an icon of them on an altar. You could bring some pine in and surround their little icon with pine. And that's it. That's the meditation, is to just engage as richly as possible with your patron deity surrounded by the plant you're working with, and allow both of them to connect with you at the same time, and just follow it wherever it goes, right? We open those inner journeys of inner vision, and they start to take on a life of their own. Things start to happen, responses start to come up that are not fueled by our own minds. So that's good. Let's do one more. This is a really fun one, which is where you can, I like this with eyes closed, right? Physical eyes closed. You can invoke a plant spirit that you're working with. So maybe you're working with yarrow, and you can maybe take a couple of drops of yarrow tincture, or hold some yarrow blossoms in your hand, or smolder a little yarrow incense, and you call out to the plant spirit, but you allow for them to appear in your inner vision however they want. So maybe they'll show up looking exactly like they do as a plant, but maybe they won't. Maybe they'll show up in a different form, in a really abstract form, or as an animal, or in the shape of a human, or a land feature. All of these are ways the plant spirits can communicate something about their medicine, their virtues, their magic to us individually. How a plant spirit shows up to you in these kind of meditations is communication. It's the plant saying, I'm coming to you in this form. What does this form mean to you? What does it feel like to you? And that will tell you something about your relationship with that plant and what you can do together, right? So allowing them to show up beyond their physical form, their plant form, because that's only one aspect of who they are. So a few to get you started. Again, there's a whole library of them you can find in some other YouTube videos I've done on meditation and following the medicine and journey work and all of that. Put links to Patreon library down below. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you try any of these, or if you've been working with any of these, please drop something in the comments below. Let me know your experiences, what you like, what's challenging. All of that really helps me continue to make content for you guys. So I appreciate all the shares. And with that, blessings of peace and plenty. I'll see you next time.